All right. Hey, everybody. 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here just after 4 o'clock on our Thursday afternoon. So we'll give you a tropical storm Fiona update. We're going to get another track coming up here just about 5 o'clock, and I'll have that for you live coming up on 10 Tampa Bay. If you're watching on Facebook, don't forget my YouTube page, Bobby Deskins Weather. Subscribe to that. I usually go live like I am now, and so that way it'll kind of give you a heads up when I am giving you updates on tropical weather or even our local weather. Again, just search Bobby Deskins Weather for that. Now, let's go off the top here, right? I like to say that off the top. Here's what we're going to talk about. Fiona, it's not well organized. It actually is sheared apart, but the low-level circulation is still there, and it's still good. Still has winds of almost 50 to 60 miles per hour, okay? It is moving westward. It will affect the Leeward Islands, St. Martin, Barbados, Antigua, Anguilla, all those places by Friday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands by Saturday, Sunday into Puerto Rico, and Sunday night into Monday into Hispaniola. It looks like it wants to get up towards the Turks and Caicos after that, Monday and the Tuesday of next week. So let's talk about it. The models aren't set on where this thing's going yet. In fact, the Europeans coming further west, so we will talk about that as well too. First things first, let's take a look at this bad boy if we can. Good-looking storm as far as the low-level circulation, but the problem is the center is completely devoid now of convection. That's the center of the storm. You see that spin coming out of it? There's all the convection. You need this over here to maintain the storm. So obviously from what's happening, there's a bunch of shear blowing in just like this, right? In fact, I can show you. There's the shear right there. You can see all that blue. That's the wind blowing the center off to the east, the tops off to the east. That's going to continue. It might weaken a little bit, but that's really going to continue. And so you're going to get this system here very unorganized, at least vertically, right? It's not stacked. You've got all the storms over here. You've got the low-level center over here. That can only last so long, but the forecast from the Hurricane Center says that they think it might actually last a little while longer. So there's the wind shear as I was showing you. It does lighten a little bit over the next couple of days, but then it picks back up as it starts to turn to the north and the east. Here's the latest track as of this afternoon from the Hurricane Center, and look at those numbers. Right now it has 50-mile-per-hour winds, but they're expecting by tonight or tomorrow morning 60-mile-per-hour winds. Keep that as it comes through the Leeward Islands. Tomorrow morning, or Saturday morning, the British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, basically. There you go. Sunday morning, late Saturday night, Sunday morning, Puerto Rico. Sunday into Monday, you're talking 65-mile-per-hour winds from Puerto Rico all the way through Hispaniola, and then it starts to move a little bit away from the main island chain in the Caribbean and up in towards the Turks and Caicos. So the worst weather is going to be near the center and to the east of it. Here is the latest model plot. These are each one of those lines is a different model, and you still see quite a bit of them curving. Well, in fact, most of them, right? It's not set in stone. Nothing in tropical forecasting is set in stone this far out. Down here, yeah, it's pretty close, right? We're thinking that's a pretty good bet it's going to end up here. Is it going to turn this way? I mean, that early? Is it going to turn this early? Is it going to turn this early? Is it going to stay weak because it gets further south and then go further to the west? All possibilities at this point, but as you can see, most of the modeling is suggesting that it does recurve at this point. Now, one of my favorite graphics from the Hurricane Center. If you have friends or family in the Caribbean, look at this graphic. Find their island, and then look at the color that you're seeing there. The color represents the probability of seeing tropical storm force winds in that area. So if you look at Antigua, Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Martin's just kind of out of it. That's that brown color. That's a 60% chance that we get winds of at least 40 miles per hour, essentially, right? And now you get a little bit less chance as you get further west for the U.S. Virgin Islands up into the British BVI. Okay, Puerto Rico's a little less, but that will increase over time. You see the right side of the screen here. It's high chances. As this moves off to the west, at least tropical storm force winds should sustain in that system, even though it's sheared. And so this will all increase. Now, this is my favorite part about it. This gives you the most likely arrival time of those winds. That means if you're here in these Northeast Leeward Islands, Friday afternoon, 8 p.m., see the 8 and the p.m., Friday, 8 p.m., is when you can expect the best chance for those winds to start. That means Friday, tomorrow you're getting prepared, right? You want to be prepared by sunset. In fact, I'd be prepared by midday on Friday because in the afternoon, those Leeward Islands, the weather's only going to go downhill. Okay. Now, British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, 8 a.m. Saturday morning. Puerto Rico, 8 p.m. Saturday night in San Juan. Obviously, it'll be overnight, working its way westward over towards Rincon, Aguadilla, all those areas on the northwest. Love that place. Great surfing. Love the surf there. And then you get over towards Dominican Republic. Probably during the day on Sunday, the weather's going downhill. Okay, that's what that's saying right now. Now, let's go a little bit better for the timing. The yellow here is winds in excess of 40, perhaps 60 miles per hour. Depends on how strong it is, right? But most of that's in the 40s. The orange you see there, and it's really tough to see right there, that is winds in excess of about 60 miles per hour. Okay, so this is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. This is a product from the Hurricane Center. They're kind of looking at it saying this is the wind field because it's, it's a big circle, right? But the winds aren't always all the way around the circle in the highest amount. So they kind of give you this plot. Now let's go out to Saturday morning, 4 a.m. before sunrise. St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua, all those are obviously Antigua's already seen that. But those areas starting to get it before the sun comes up Saturday morning. British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, by noon on Saturday, the winds are starting to increase. Now, notice that orange circle as we go through Saturday afternoon into the evening hours. You notice that? By 4 or 5 o'clock, U.S. Virgin Islands, we've got winds in excess of 60 miles per hour possible. Okay, and by that time, 7 o'clock, so basically sunset on Saturday, the winds are starting to increase in eastern Puerto Rico. And you can see the highest winds will get to southeastern Puerto Rico overnight Saturday night and the Sunday morning. That's like 1 a.m. Sunday morning. And then this will continue to move off towards the west. Okay, that's the latest. We'll get another update on this at 5 o'clock as well. And, of course, I'll be posting it for you here later tonight. That's our forecast here. Let's now go over and take a look at some of the forecast modeling that we're seeing from this. Basically, what I like to do is I like to keep showing you everything that I've been showing you for the last couple of days so you kind of see the changes. Here's the forecast model. The thing to know from this has shifted a little to the left, a little west towards the Turks and Caicos, towards the Bahamas, but not a lot. But there is a little shift there. These are the ensemble model runs of the GFS. Run the GFS 22 different ways, something like that, and you end up with this. And you can see the GFS is saying, yeah, not only does this thing recurve, but you see the color changes. Those are indicating intensity over here on the right. So the darker reds, that means it's a stronger storm. Get in the purple, it's got a hurricane out here. At least a couple of runs. Okay. This is the European. Now, the European's been all over the place. And boy, oh boy, is it really all over the place. The 12Z run, which was from this morning, which is basically the latest that we have now, has it turning way out east or going way out in the western Gulf of Mexico. So you're saying there's a chance, right? That's what that says. This has shifted off towards the west, so it's something to watch. Now, yesterday when I showed you the intensity models, they barely kept it above a tropical storm. Now, by 72 hours, it's starting to get up there. In fact, it's basically there now. So 45 knots is what it is. So that's where the storm is now. They're saying that by tomorrow, 24 hours, we're up here. Okay, so the Hurricane Center forecast is above guidance for intensity, at least. We'll have to see because the environment it's in right now, that the way the convection's just sheared off. I mean, we'll see what it can do. But bottom line is, it is forecast to increase in intensity. Almost every model says that. As it gets away from the Caribbean islands, it starts that turn. Hopefully, it starts that turn, right? Here's the GFS model. So let's go out. You see it over here in the lower right-hand corner. That is Saturday afternoon. This is Sunday afternoon right there. Puerto Rico, not a good day. And while I'm here, let me tell you, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, which is probably going to be the main threat for the Leeward Islands, for Puerto Rico, all those areas. 4 to 6 inches, with some spots seeing 10 inches. So you're talking flash flooding, you're talking mudslides, that type of deal, right? That's going to be, I think, one of the major issues. Washed out roads, that thing. Now, Puerto Rico, your power grid, you know how that is. If you put 50, 60 mile per hour winds in there, that's going to cause more of a problem. And that is a possibility, especially some of the higher elevations in Puerto Rico. All right, so now look at this. By Monday night, the GFS takes the center east of Dominican Republic, kind of sparing them just a little bit. And then it takes it east of the Turks and Caicos. This is the main run. And then look, I mean, it strengthens this bad boy for sure. Wobbles it a little bit, then takes it out, okay? That's the GFS. Look at the European. This is next Saturday. Let me back it up here and kind of go through the same progress. This is Saturday afternoon right there. There it is, a weak system near Puerto Rico, southeast Puerto Rico. By Sunday afternoon, it is south of the Dominican Republic. That is the difference between the GFS and the European model. The European is a lot further to the west. The European keeps a weaker system, at least initially, and the weaker they are, the more west they tend to go versus recurving. And that's essentially the difference that we're seeing between the two models now. Now, then it moves, the European moves it over Hispaniola Sunday night into Monday. This is Monday afternoon. And we'll have to see what those mountains do from Dominican Republic to Haiti. Kind of shredded up a little bit there. But then it's on the other side. It's on northeast parts of Cuba. Then it comes up through the Bahamas. This is Friday of next week. This is a much slower solution, much further west. And then it takes it over to eastern Florida. This is almost a week and a half out. That is a long time in tropical forecasting. So don't let this worry you here. What we can really look at is between now and Sunday afternoon. This is, we know the Leeward Islands. We know Puerto Rico is going to be seeing some weather. Let's talk about the ensemble models for the GFS. Look where it has it all here. It's pretty tightly packed, right? Just showed you that European forecast model, right? It looks, if you're in Florida, you're like, Again, don't worry about that. Let me show you the ensemble runs of the European. So remember the European had it way down here? That's one of the runs. Look at all these other runs. All these other runs are to the north. And in fact, look where they're all out here, along or east of the Bahamas. Okay, now, yeah, they're getting a little bit closer here, but let me show you this in a different version here. Look at all these lows. Look where all the lower pressure is. It's seeing really low pressures all the way out here. The western edge, where that's the main run showed it coming towards Florida, that's the western edge of this low pressure area that it sees. So that's kind of good news. That means, like, if you're hedging your bets, you would think it's going to be east of Florida and probably east of the Bahamas, or probably close to the Bahamas, right? So that, I know that run looks a little scary, but if you look at the overall ensemble runs of the model, you can see it's just spread all over the place. So not a huge thing here. This is another way to look at it. Tropical storm or tropical depression winds. 100%. Let's go look at tropical storm. You can see down there. Well, let's just go into the Caribbean. I'll zoom in a little bit. Obviously through Puerto Rico, and this is the GFS, so you'd see it curving. Chance for hurricane force winds after it moves out of the island change, at least for the GFS model, right? Good news there. And you see it curves it east of, well, basically east and of the Turks and Caicos, east and north of Turks and Caicos. This is the European model. This is the probability of tropical depression winds, or tropical depression being in that area. And you can see the spread, right? Now let's look at tropical storm. You see it's shrinking. It's not as close to Florida. You see it's all out here. This is a higher probability. Even with that one run that showed something coming there. Now let's talk about the chance for hurricane force winds, and you see where it is. The runs that are turning it to the north, which it should do if it's a more organized system, it will go further to the north. More organized, it should have higher winds. That's what the model's showing you. Then you start looking at a system that's a little bit weaker, tropical storm. You see it's coming further west. Then you start looking at a really weak system, and that really comes west. So, the European says, look, if it's a better organized system, it'll curve sooner. If it's weaker, it'll go further west. That's exactly what climatologically we would expect. Okay, that's it, guys. Kind of a long one today. Trying to keep these short. No worries at this point if you're in Florida. If you have family or friends in the area of course, the Leeward Islands, the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, all those areas, let them know. My Facebook page, Bobby Deskins Weather, also my YouTube page. I'll be doing updates for everybody there and kind of give you an idea of what to expect wind-wise, rain-wise, all the way through this storm. And again, don't worry right now about a curve because eventually we've got plenty of time to watch this. We're just concerned about those Northeast Islands right now. Chris Meyer, he says, I think Florida will be fine. I agree with you, Chris. And Chris is up there in the Jacksonville area, so he'll be watching this one closely. He's over there on the East Coast. Okay, that's it, guys. Have a great one. I will see you at 5 o'clock on 10 Tampa Bay with the very latest updated track from the Hurricane Center.